This video is going to show you how to access your student's Home Connect account for Accelerated Math. This letter will either be sent home with your student or has already been sent home with your student. And the important pieces are right down here where it says website, and then the username, and then the password. This is a generic form that I have generated just so I could show you as far as a username and password, so I could show you an account and not jeopardize anyone's actual account. So you'll want to look at the website or web address, and if you copy and paste that into your browser, it will take you to a site that looks like this. Once there, then you're going to log in as your student, or have your student log in, and it will pull up the data. Right now it's on the tests, and this student has taken one test with a 100% average, so they've earned 2 testable objectives. The practice and exercise tab is up here as well, and you can switch back and forth. One of the great features about this is that practices and exercise can be scored from home, and they do that by going right over here to Score Assignment. If they click on that, it pops up the answer guide, and they just plug in their answers, and when they're done, they will click Score My Responses, and I will go ahead and do that just to show you what happens. So no responses, click OK to score it anyway, or cancel it and, to go back and fill them in. I'm just going to go ahead and click OK, and it's going to generate. And what it's going to do is it's going to pop up the actual report of what your child did. If you notice here, it lists the question number right here under the problem, and then what they answered and what the correct answer should have been. Over here is the actual standard that was being tested on those specific questions, and those are numbered by objectives as well. It'll tell the number they got correct out of how many, and then the percent that they got on this practice. And if they continue to scroll down, then it will show the objectives on the practice and then the results on this one and overall. So if they've had this objective on more than one practice, it will show their overall percent. Down here, it'll show their average percent correct, and over here is the objective summary. This first line right here is they're ready to test. They always want to have a number there. That means they need to be completing practices in order to be ready to test. And below that shows their goal for their marking period. So for this marking period, the student's goal is 25 testable objectives. So that means they earn 80% or higher on a test, and each objective then is counted as 1 point out of the 25. Underneath there is the total mastered this grading period, and they're at 8% of their goal. And then below would be the total mastered of the year. So as we're moving on to the third 9 weeks, any that they have completed in the first and second 9 weeks then would be added together to equal the total from the beginning of the year or from when they started working with the program. In the bottom right hand corner is always the form number, the questions that correspond with the form, and when it was assigned and when it was completed. And then it generates their next practice. You can print it off online or from this site, or they can look at it and work it online by writing their answers down. But you do want to keep in mind that after, I'm not sure of the exact minutes, but after a while it will time them out so that it won't pop back up. But there is a way to access it again. So if they're not writing them down, they're going to lose track. So make sure that they are recording them. And if you do not have a printer at home, that's okay too. You can just have them, again, like I said, look at the screen, write them down, and now then you would go back in and score the assignment like we just previously did. So again, score the assignment is right here, and that's when they bubble in the corresponding answers, and then it generates their report on how they did, and then their next assignment. Let's say they're at home and they say they don't have their assignment with them, they can log right in here and click the reprint. It'll generate that same practice that they currently have out, and this is the same one we just saw since it just generated. So now then my student could work on his or her assignment from home. Tests cannot be scored at home. They have to be scored at school. But again, practices and exercise can be scored, and as they do practices, then they are generating objectives that are ready to test. And if you notice on the test tab page, it says the total objectives ready to test. So if I would have completed that practice with accuracy, then I would have had objectives ready to test. And then the teacher will print those objectives as a test, and then the student will complete them. And when they are completed, they'll show up on here on how they did and how many they've mastered. Also, speaking of knowing when your child tests, if you go up here to the right corner and click on Email Setup, you can put in your email address that will allow you to receive an email when your child scores a test at school. Since you can monitor the progress for the practice at home, then the test you can have an email sent to you. So you would just type in your name and then the email address that you would want it sent to, and then again to verify it. And if you would like it in Spanish, you can click there and it will give it to you in Spanish, and you click add. And you can see I've already added myself down here, so I'm not going to add it again. But you can list up to 6 emails, so if you have a work or a home that you would like it to come to both, then you can edit that. And then when you do click add, it's going to pop up down here. One thing that you do have to keep in mind is that you have to watch your spam or your junk mail, because the first time it is sent to you, it may not recognize it in your email and it may send it to a junk. But that email, when you get it, you'll want to open it up and click on the accept button that says you received the email. Once you have clicked on the email that says you have received it, then it will show you that then it will start generating the emails to you whenever your child scores the test. But if you do not click on that email that they send you, then you will not receive the notifications. So this is the Renaissance Home Connect, and I'm done there editing my emails. So I'm going to click done. It'll take me back to my child's home page, so then they can see this. If your child is also enrolled in Accelerated Reader and takes AR tests, their username and password will also log them in, and they will have another tab up here that will say Language Arts or Accelerated Reader, and it will show you what books they're reading, how many points they've earned by taking a test, and so forth. So that's an overview of the Renaissance Home Connect and how you can stay on top of your child with their accelerated math practice tests or exercises.